back to my YouTube channel. For this video, I'm gonna go ahead and be naming all the signs of empaths. So I'm gonna go ahead and share with you guys different signs of an empath and what it's like to be an empath as well, and my experience as an empath and your experience as an empath too, because most likely you've gone through the similar experiences of being a highly sensitive person and being sensitively attuned to the emotions of other people and places that you go. So let's go ahead and get started with this video. I'm really excited. I've been preparing for this video for quite some time, and I have a lot to say about this topic about being an empath. But so being an empath, it's known as being highly sensitively attuned to the emotions, to the feelings, to other people's behaviors and stuff like that. Like, we pick up really easily what someone else is feeling. Even when sometimes there may be a person that may say, "Oh, I'm fine, nothing's wrong with me," and you can tell, you can just pick up that something's off, that they're not feeling good. But you're sensitively attuned mainly because either many of us were born with a more hyperactive what do you call it, nervous system. And so when you have a really sensitive nervous system, you become really sensitive. And it can also be that you're sensitive to smell, you're sensitive to loud noises, you're sensitive to people saying something. Like when someone says something mean or makes a rude remark, other people will just get over it very quickly. But since you're a hypersensitive person, to you, anything that is mean or someone raises their voice at you, you feel it more intensely than other people. So you feel your emotions twice as much as other people would feel their emotions. And sometimes people would tell you, "Oh, you're too sensitive," or you need to toughen up, or "You're being too much, too emotional, you're too emotional." And this is a gift. It's a spiritual gift to be highly in tune to your emotions and the emotions of other people as well. Because what you work on yourself, that inner awareness of that consciousness, you also become consciously aware of others around you. And there's a lot of positive things about empaths. There's more positives than negatives. There's some negatives that you can work with, and you can learn how to protect your energy as a highly sensitive person and as an empath. But there's a difference between HSP, a highly sensitive person, and then there's also a difference between empaths. So empaths are rare. They're not that common. Most people their empathy. It's about empathy. It's about having the ability to be really high on the spectrum of empathy. So being empathetic. So that's what it means. It's the fact that you have the capability of being empathetic towards other people around you. And it's really a gift. And so I really can't wait to share with you guys all the notes that I've taken about 11 or 12 signs I have of being an empath. So I just have to go ahead and go back to find them. How do I get in contact with you? I'll be creating an email pretty soon. I haven't created the email address that I want to make, but I'll keep everyone updated. I also want to do a Zoom link as well. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, it's gonna just Hinoka empath. I heard of Hinoka empaths. I believe that I thought I left my my notes. I thought I took them with me, but I actually left them up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and Zoom would work more. That way we can talk about everything that we want to talk about, and there's no there's no penalty for talking about stuff like that, like about the world. Yeah, we can also do one-on-one conversations. Give me 1 second really quickly. Is you're chosen or what? Yes. Many of us know that we're chosen. Once we've awakened, we start to see that everything had a reason why we were outcasted in society. We've always been outcasted. So being chosen is a great responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. So chosen ones have a lot of inner power because they're able to overcome a lot of adversities in their life. And so being a sensitive person, it's a lot more difficult to overcome adversity because we feel emotions twice in those situations that we're put into. Okay, this is good. This is perfect lighting as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I have my notes here. Just in case my phone dies too. I don't know if there's a charger somewhere. Hold on. Give me 1 second. This is a new place that I'm gonna record my videos. Okay, and then more lighting. It's such a good video. Oh wait, that's the wrong light. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with this video. So I'm gonna do the introduction again. Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. For this topic, we're gonna go ahead and talk about what it's like to be an empath. Chosen ones have a spiritual gift of being a natural born healer. When you're an empath, you have the ability to heal people with being emotionally in tune to yourself and other people around you. Now, empaths have a really big heart. We're very compassionate, very loving, very caring. We're very selfless. We love to help and put other people first. But being raised like a narcissistic household, being raised with dysfunctional people as well, being an empath can also be caused by trauma because you've gone through a lot of challenges, a lot of like very difficult times, moments in your life where you had to be in tune to other people's emotional states as well, like your parents, your siblings. Whenever they were bad, you had to be walking on eggshells. So you had to learn very quickly. You learned how to pick up energies, how to pick up people's emotions, their body language, their facial expressions, certain cues that people give off to you. Also, if they step back when they're talking to you and you feel like they're lying to you, when you feel like someone's not being real with themselves and they're hiding an emotion. This all comes down to being a hypersensitive person and or an empath. So, as for me, ever since I was little, I used to cry for everything as a baby. I was just crying and crying and crying. I was very sensitive to sound, to smells, to noise. Like loud noises would really trigger me and like they get me really startled and I get really irritated and overwhelmed, overstimulated. You can be overstimulated even when you're little. So when an empath is born, they are incarnating more openness to the perspective of openness than others. They come already open to the ultimate definition of love, taking another as yourself. So when we love people a lot, immensely. We tend to give them the love that we were born with. So as being chosen, God blessed us spiritually, internally, with a really big heart, with a lot of love to give this world, healing energy, just making other people feel good and loving, just that energy that you feel about yourself and you give it all to other people. You project that love onto other people as well. And as an empath, you're openness. So you're open-minded, you're less judgmental, you're not the type to just close yourself off to people and be be mean and aggressive to people. You're highly sensitive to other people's needs as well. So empaths are highly sensitive people. We're those who are very emotionally in tune to the energies and emotions of the people around us. So let's say that we were to walk into an office, an event, a classroom, a restaurant, or meeting up with a friend or something. We can pick up on their emotion. We can pick up if they're being genuine, if they're really being real, if they're saying the truth, if they're hiding something from us. Oh, the volume's low? Okay, let's see. Can you guys hear me now more? Can you guys hear me better? So this often makes us empaths very caring, very loving individuals. It also makes us very vulnerable to the negative energies and emotions around us. So during 2021, or even in general, just when we're around a lot of negative energies, workplaces, anywhere where we have to go and we just have to be there because we need to be there, we can pick up on the negative energies of those around us, and it can really affect us emotionally. And sometimes we may look emotionally unstable, emotionally off, because we're just taking on everyone's emotions. And when we're taking on everyone's emotions, we don't know what belongs to us because we're like absorbing other people's energy. And also empaths have that ability. We absorb the energies of other people and we get overstimulated, which means that we're going to need to take a step back to protect our energy because we're just taking on way too many people at once. And we attract a lot of negative energy as well, a positive of a negative. So the negative is very attracted to the positive, and so we attract a lot of negative, narcissistic people, because narcissistic people have the ability to ask like personal questions, deep conversations. And empaths, we don't like small talk. We can't stand small talk, just like, oh, hi, what's your name and what's your favorite color, and just questions like that. We don't really like small talk. We're very deep thinkers. We're deeply emotionally in tune with ourselves. So when that happens, we appreciate. We have a love for deep conversations, like conversations that are about how can we grow, how can we make the world a better place, how can we create and create a bunch of things that will help the world around us. That's what we mostly care about. We're not materialistic. We don't care about how much money someone has, what kind of car they drive, what kind of social status they have. Empaths are mostly just, we're more concerned with a person's spirit. So we don't see people for like how they look and everything. Like everyone else, like most people, superficial. We want genuineness. We want genuine friendships, real people in our lives that are gonna add as well. Not just shallow conversations or on the surface conversations about other people and stuff like that. We seek out authentic relationships because empaths are very authentic as well. We're very transparent. We're honest. We're honest human beings. We say it how it is. We appreciate when someone else is being real with us. And so these are certain qualities that are very positive in empaths. And we're very caring and loving. So because of that nature, other people can pick up on it. And they pick up on that fact, and that's why we attract so much negative energies, because so many people want what we have to offer the world. We have a lot to offer because we have too much emotional empathy that some people need it, and that's why they seek us. So sometimes when people say, oh, you attract what you are, no, you attract the opposite sometimes because certain people also need what you have to offer this world. And so that's why being an empath is a gift, because empathy is highly needed, especially during these times in this world. We're the ones who keep this world together with the empathy that we give onto other people. We help them continue and continue on, give them courage and hope and help. So that's why certain people will come to you and ask for help and ask for your support, because you're empathetic. And so they always want, it's like you carry the world on your shoulder, because people, they need you, but they don't understand that an empath also needs the same thing in return, because they already think that you already have too much emotional attunement, which means that you don't need it because you're already highly emotional. But no, they perceive it wrong. You know, empaths also need someone who will pour into them as well, as much as they give. And many times we don't get reciprocal love because we need to find another empath in order to be poured into the same amount, because we require a lot. Just like we give a lot, we also require a lot. And sometimes we have relationships where the person gives less, and we feel resentment, we feel bitter, we feel angry. We're like, well, I gave so much and I love them too much and I didn't get enough, and I feel like this is not this I feel so like invalidated, unseen in this relationship, because they don't have the same emotional capacity that we have. And it's totally okay. You know, some people have different ranges of empathy, the amount of empathy, and sometimes they won't understand us. They'll misunderstand us and say, you have too high standards, you're asking for too much, because they don't have the ability to give as much as we give onto them. And that's why we need to be observant. How much are we pouring into this person? And am I gonna pour way too much to the point where I'm gonna just deplete myself and I'm gonna have an empty cup, and my cup is gonna be all empty, and it's gonna be like that? Because certain times we get a bunch of users, takers. Since we're a natural born giver, we give a lot, and then what happens is they just take and take and take, and then we get depleted, we get emotionally exhausted, um, headaches, irritated, we get frustrated, and we build resentment because of that. Um, so the first sign that I want to talk about is that we feel our emotions at a much deeper level. So we feel our feelings much more intensely than others. We come into this world with our heightened six senses. They're very heightened, which are increased further by different challenges or traumas experienced in our lives. So I remember feeling like a terrestrial being. Even my family and schools, it was just, they call you weird, they call you different because you're an empath. And they don't understand that you require a lot. As an empath, as a child who's highly sensitive or an empath, they require a lot, like a lot more care, a lot more emotional care, because we're wired differently. Our brain is wired differently. The way that we are as human beings, it's differently than other people, but it's in a beautiful way, because the same thing, people love it, but then people hate that about us. They dislike it about us because as empaths, we we scare people off sometimes with too much love. They don't know how to take it. They don't know how to receive love. They're not used to it. So they will reject it and they run away. And then we're like, why are empaths always alone? Why are empaths, they don't have a support system around them or people who actually pour into them? Because they see how much you have within you that they think, oh no, she already has too much. This person doesn't need anything in return. And that's the thing about feeling your emotions too deeply, is that it's off-putting to certain people. People who have suppressed their emotions for a long time. And then we're the ones who feel all ranges of emotions. We feel our anger intensely. We feel sadness intensely. We feel happiness intensely. We feel each different emotion intensely, a lot more. And so it scares people, because a situation that someone else would just be like, "Oh, someone said that I'm ugly. It's okay. I'm just going to brush it off." But an empath will be like, "But why did they say that if I was so nice? What did I do wrong?" And we start overthinking. We start overplaying those scenarios over and over again, because we care, because that's just our nature. We're naturally just caring individuals. And people try to change that about us, because since it's not in the box of what normal emotions are, and like the system that we live in. to not be too emotional, to learn how to suppress your emotions. Um, they'll try to shame us. They'll try to make us feel guilty for being too emotional. And so oftentimes, even in the educational school systems, they would tell you you're too sensitive. Quit crying for everything. Only cry when it's a real problem. Don't cry for just anything. But you just feel everything a lot more. Like if someone says something mean, someone raises their voice, you start shivering and you start getting sensitive and you start just your emotions just get the best out of you. So that's another thing. Our emotions get the best out of us. We're very emotional human beings. And so other people will get over it. They'll tell you, just get over it. It already happened. It's in the past. Why does it keep bothering you? You can't get over it. We process our emotions much deeper, which means that it's gonna take a little bit longer to get over certain things, especially when you love a lot. You don't just get over it very quickly because you invested a lot into certain people in your life, like your family, friends, and stuff. So it's going to take time for you to heal through it and come to agreement that that situation just wasn't reciprocal. And so it can also be with trauma, the reason why you're sensitive as well. So certain experiences, like really traumatic experiences, they build and increase your empathy because you've known what it feels like to be treated bad. You know what it feels like to get the worst side, like the dark side of the world at an early age. You had to grow up fast. You had no other choice but to learn how to study the emotions of other people. And so when this happens is that you learn how to put yourself in other people's shoes because you've gone through a lot and you have that sense of ability to be able to say, I understand where that person's coming from. I understand why that person's hurt because I've experienced that as well. And so you pick up the emotions of others around you. Empaths are likely to feel overwhelmed, exhausted, and emotionally depleted, drained around negative energies from people. So it's very important that we don't stay around negative people, especially as an empath. So people say, but you're the light, you're the positive person in the room, and you're around a bunch of negative energy. That still affects highly sensitive people a lot because we feel that dark energy twice as much, and that can really affect us so bad. And too much darkness, it's bad for the light too. Too much darkness is bad for the light, believe it or not. It's it needs to be, the lightness needs to protect itself as well. You know, build boundaries, build like a line that the negativity can't affect you too much. So yeah, we get overwhelmed, emotionally depleted because of our emotional capacity to hold on to emotions. So we can tolerate a lot as well as empaths. We can tolerate a lot of emotions as an empath. And it's because we have a lot of emotional capacity to hold a lot of emotions in until we reach that breaking point where like, this is too much. Yeah, there were several times where I would get emotionally exhausted and depleted at workplaces, especially when the energy was too low. It was just walking into this very low vibrational place. And not only that, but as an empath, they see how positive and how happy you are and peaceful you are, that you're like a mirror to people because you quickly can tune into the emotions of other people. So you become a mirror to them. You start to mirror back their emotions, their energy that they're giving you, you start to project it back onto them. And then it's like a mirror, it just flashes on their shadow work that they need to do. And then they start to get triggered. And since they're in denial, they're fearful of facing that shadow that shadow side to them, what they're going to do is they're not going to want to accept it, that they are the problem, that they're the ones who have the negativity to begin with. They're going to want to project that negativity, their insecurities, their limitations, their fears onto the empaths. And that's why we carry the weight of the world on the world, because so many people are trying to make us feel responsible for their problems, because they give us their trauma. Believe it or not, they're handing us their trauma, they're handing us their pain, they're handing us their insecurities, and just so they can feel better. So we have to really protect our energy, because this is emotionally dumping. You know, people will emotionally dump all their baggage onto us if we allow it. So we have to set very very strong boundaries of toxic negative people and narcissists, very strong boundaries with them. And anyone who just comes, energy vampires who come to just drain you from your energy, you really need to like put that line and say, no, I can't help you with your problems this time. You're gonna have to find a way to make it work, because since we're empathetic, so many people will come near us and tell us sad stories about how they're going through so much and that they need our support, and we're always there to help everyone. We always show up for our friends, we always show up for family members, we always show up for every single person that needs emotional support, because they know that we have the capability and we have the capacity to help them with their problems. So with that, when that happens, that can really affect us emotionally, because they're just sucking all the energy out of us. And then they go on happy and feeling even better, and then we're the ones who have to work on ourselves to get our energy back up. So that's why it's very important that we learn how to get rid of the very toxic, narcissistic, egotistical, entitled people, because they'll feel entitled to an empath. They'll feel very entitled to a person who has a lot of empathy. They'll feel that now you're going to be their therapist. They're going to look at you like their therapist, like their emotional support person that they always go to. And you're going to notice very quickly that they don't act this way with every single friend. Toxic people only tend to act like this around empaths. I've picked this up very quickly, that I had a friend who would only come to me when they had problems and when they were going through something. But every time I saw that friend with other people, they were just doing great. They were happy, they were enjoying life, but they only come to us to try to get that care and that to make them feel good about themselves as well. Empaths make people feel really good about themselves. And we have the ability of making people feel good, boosting their ego, telling them nice things that they want to hear to feel good about themselves. And when this happens, it's the fact that sometimes we will get used by other people, not because they truly like us for who we are, but they just like us for the energy that we offer them, the energy that they want and that they need. So we need to be very observant of just take all their energy away from us. The second one is empaths are overthinkers. So this goes hand in hand. An overthinker is someone who continuously just, their thought process is just running over and over again, trying to make sense of every situation. We overthink a lot in our lives. Like we overthink our problems, we overthink other people's problems. When if someone comes with us with a lot of issues and that they're going through a difficult time, we try to think through what ways we can help them, because we don't want to let them down. We have a hard time letting people down as empaths and highly sensitive people. We love to try our best to try to be there and support other people around us. But we overthink as well when we are around negative people. When they try to gaslight us, we tend to have a very high self-awareness of the world around us and people around us as well. So when someone is mismatching their words with their actions, they're telling us one thing, that they love us, that they're going to be there for us all the time, but then their actions are them just acting distant from us, ignoring us, treating us like we don't matter, treating us really bad. Empaths, highly sensitive people, we overthink situations over and over again. We try to see where did we go wrong and where did they go wrong. And then sometimes as a highly sensitive person, we tend to internalize what other people do, like their bad behavior. We try to take on the fact that, oh, it's my responsibility because they're not acting right. It's my job to help this person because they don't know better. And you try to understand them. Or where are they coming from? What happened to them in their past? Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe we try to justify and make excuses for toxic people around us as highly sensitive people. And that's one thing that's a disadvantage as a highly sensitive person, as an empath, is that sometimes we will enable people with their toxicity because we want to try to excuse and say, well, nobody's perfect, everyone makes mistakes, we can all learn, and maybe I should give them another chance. And then we let our emotions control us to continuously getting taken advantage of, being used, treated badly. And so, as an empath, we really need to believe when we overthink and not gaslight ourselves. Don't gaslight yourself. When you feel like something's wrong, when you feel like something's off, when you feel like that person is being fake to you, that they're not really being genuine, even when they're saying all the nice things to you, you still have to be able to go back to the source, go back to God and talk to Him and tell Him, this person is pretending to be nice, saying all these nice words, but at the same time, they're bringing confusion. Anything that brings confusion in your life, it's not sent from God. Nothing that has confusion is sent from God. There should be no confusion, no heartache, no pain, no extra baggage that you're carrying on and trying to fix constantly, because you're a fixer, you're a problem solver as empaths. So yeah, we tend to spend a lot of time analyzing and trying to understand the emotions of other people and our own emotions as well. And we really do. We try to understand where they're coming from. We try to put ourselves in their shoes, and then we say they lie to us. They tell us, well, it's because I'm going through a really difficult time, and that's why I couldn't be there for you, and this and that. They try to manipulate us, and we try to understand them. Well, maybe they are saying the truth. Maybe I should be a little bit more compassionate and understand them, that they're having a difficult time in their life. But it all comes down to, if it's repetitive, a pattern, if it's constantly a pattern and pattern and pattern, and confusion, then it's time to cut that relationship off. When you constantly tell them to be truthful to you, to tell you the truth, and they just want to continuously lie to you. We also feel like no one can truly understand us as well as overthinkers. We overthink, maybe something's wrong with me. Maybe I need to fix myself. Maybe I overreacted. Maybe I really did overreact that certain experience that I had with that person. Maybe I was being too much. Maybe I did exaggerate with my emotions and I kind of scared that person off. Our emotions are completely valid, even if it's a lot, even if we feel too much, it's still valid. It's still an emotion that we feel, and we should accept it as our own and not blame ourselves for just being human and being sensitive. So yeah, we feel misunderstood, and people misunderstand us too, and they think something's wrong with us because we're not acting in the ways that they act. So being an empath, it's rare. It's not very common. You don't see a lot of empaths around us. And so they think that something's wrong with us because we're not reacting emotionally to the ways that they would react in that certain situation, or those certain people who treat each other like that. And they think, oh, what's wrong with them? Like, they can't take a joke. They can't handle criticism. They can't handle backhanded compliments and all this. And, little side remarks. As an empath, you can't handle any of that because it really does affect you. Any negative energy, any any hate, it affects you, your energy. So yeah, so you do feel misunderstood, and because people can't truly understand you, and people fear what they don't understand. So they don't understand you, so they will just quickly label you. You're weird, or what's wrong with you? And are you okay? You're being too much. And it's just because they really have a hard time understanding you. because they don't understand why. Why are you reacting that way when they wouldn't react that way? But it's all part of being sensitive. You're overly sensitive. It's another one. So it's really hard for you to function normally in toxic environments because everyone's like judging you, telling you there's something wrong with you and you need to change and quit being sensitive and um, work on yourself. And other people are not as sensitive, and you're gonna suffer a lot if you're sensitive. But we never ask the question, why are they lacking a lot of empathy? Why are they mistreating people? And of course it's gonna hurt you. Of course, being abusive and being toxic to another person, you are gonna feel emotionally disturbed by it. So we don't ask that question a lot in this world. We always blame the empaths for being emotionally sensitive, but we never ask the other recipient, well, what did they do as well? Were they being toxic? Were they saying something rude? Were they being abusive? Did they say something derogatory to the empath for them to react that way? Because there's always an emotional reaction as to why we react the way that we act. We don't just act out of nowhere. And so the problem is that there's a lot of people who lack empathy, lack compassion, lack awareness for other people as well, how their actions and their words will affect other people outside of them. And so they don't have this self-awareness. And so empaths have the self-awareness, and so it offends us, it affects us a lot emotionally. Or you need help. That's another one, yes. So, yeah, they tell you, I was going to therapy for a while, and my therapist would tell me, oh, you're too emotional. You need to work on not being too emotional, not taking everything too personal. And that's true. Empaths do. We do struggle with taking things personally, but at the same time it's justifiable because of the things that people do onto us. It's not a nice world that we live in. You know, there's a lot of people who can be really mean and nasty and cruel. And so, yeah, they always say, oh, you take things too personally, you should just brush it off your shoulder and get over it. So we also tend to overthink our problems and the problems of others. So we think of other people who are going through a lot, and we think, oh, well, they might be going through a lot, and how can I try to be there for them? So we pick up when the words don't seem to match, the feelings or the energy is off of other people. We start to detect the deception. So very quickly we can see as empaths when we're around a narcissist, especially as educated empaths or educated empaths. When we meet a narcissist, we can already tell that something's off-putting about them, or toxic people or fake people. When they come around us and they want to act really nice and they try to love bomb us and flatter us with a lot of flattery, we pick up on it very quickly, and we can tell when the energy is off, when something's not right, when they're being fake to us, when they're trying to take advantage of us. We can also perceive that with our emotions. So it's very overwhelming when we feel like someone's being fake to us because the energy's off, and then that makes us feel uncomfortable because we don't like being around inauthentic people. So number 3 is you tend to be the strong one. the one that carries everyone else's weight, because it's easier for you to be selfless, helpful, and caring towards humanity. Taking on other people's negative feelings, their problems, their traumas, their negative behavior can be a burden and isolating. So people tend to project their feelings onto empaths. You can also mask most of your feelings because most people won't understand them. So, as the strong one, as the peacemaker in your family, or you would you would sometimes take on other people's emotions when they were having a bad day or problems in their life. You take on their problems and you take on all their negativity, and then that's why they feel so much better after they interact with you, because they just wanted to talk to you to tell you all their negativity. So, and then you can give off your positive energy back to them. And then we tend to mask most of our feelings because most people don't understand them. So at times when we're taking on the negative emotions, sometimes we can pretend that we're okay, that we mask our feelings, because if we tell people how we're really feeling, they're going to just misunderstand and tell us that we're exaggerating, that that's not something to really care about, that it's just something small. But we see it as important. It's important to us because we put a lot of emotion to certain things. So we are like a mirror to others who need to heal. Empaths absorb the emotional energy of others. When a person is angry, the empath will absorb those emotions and mirror it back to the sender. So it makes the person feel exposed. And that's why a lot of people dislike empaths. There's a lot of people who don't like empaths. They dislike empaths because we mirror back to them their own emotions, their own energy. We give it back to them. And that gives them the ability to introspect, to see that they got some problems to work on themselves. And so we make people feel exposed because they understand that we can see through their deception, their manipulation, and they feel exposed when they're around us. So when someone feels exposed, they want to hide, they want to avoid us because they know that we're onto them, that we see what they're doing and we see how they're behaving and how they're trying to get away with what they're doing. And so people can pick up on your energy as well when they notice that you're onto them, that you're just finally seeing what they're doing, that it's manipulative or deceptive. So empaths pick up on the personality of other people, their habits. We project them back to the person, back onto the person. This is known as the mirror effect of an empath. We act as a mirror. So we reflect back. It is common for people to act inauthentically. They hide who they are because they don't like aspects of their own personality. An empath reflects their shadow work. People are afraid to confront themselves. So, as empaths, we project it back onto them unconsciously. You have people projecting their insecurities, their self hatred, their problems, their emotions onto you. They'll blame their problems, their traumas, their anger, their jealousy on the empath for acting as their mirror. As the light, you reveal the darkness, repressed traumas, triggers out into the light, out into the surface. So that's why when certain people lash out at empaths, they act very nasty and they try to judge empaths and they try to put them down and stuff. They're just projecting their inner hatred. their insecurities onto the empath. And then they make the empath feel like they're the problem, they're responsible. They should feel like they have to take care of the other person's problems. When in fact, all those projections belong to the sender. So sometimes people they want to prove that the empath is wrong by pointing out all the flaws of the empath. Instead, it's unfortunate because the empath is the one trying to heal them. We're trying to heal them, and in fact, they're trying to make us feel like we're the problem, that we're not perfect, that there's so many things that are wrong with us. So being an empath, it's a great responsibility that we have to learn how to navigate through this with toxic and negative and narcissistic people who do this. So it's unfortunate because the first step in order for them to heal is acceptance, to accept that they actually do have a problem. Empaths are meant to be mirrors of energy, not sponges. So as an empath, we have to learn how to observe people, their negativity, their behaviors, and not absorb it. Just mirror back their energy, but not absorb their energy. Thank you, Victoria. Number 4 is that we read emotions. Highly sensitive people and empaths respond deeply to their environments and can easily pick up on people that are not genuine. When an empath meets someone who they perceive as fake, they tend to either stay totally silent or they stumble over their words. Empaths can see right through a fake person. So when we're around someone who's not being real, we tend to get quiet. We tend to just observe them and see that they're not really being themselves, that they're hiding something from us. And so we can sometimes it makes empaths shut down. Whenever we're around a lot of fake people, we tend to get quiet. We tend to want to isolate. We tend to want to just get away from certain people that we feel that are just not being themselves because it's too much for us to deal with. So we tend to just shut off, go silent, or just stumble over our words. When we talk, we get very nervous, we get very overly concerned with what we're saying because we know that that person is um, insecure, so we're trying not to hurt that person. We also try to take care of the emotions of other people because we pick up on their on how they're just trying to put an act or trying to pretend to be a good person, but we see through it. So this is also why we get so much hate and dislike, because we perceive them. Number 5 is that we're open-minded. We consider new ideas because we're very empathetic. We're not quick to judge. We perceive the world differently and through a broader lens. We take on new perspectives, other people's ideas, and we're open to other people's beliefs, their life perspectives, certain stuff about other people we tend to just accept. We can also have the ability to put ourselves in the shoes and understand where other people are coming from. We tend to be very intellectually curious, creative, and imaginative. We have a willingness to listen to and accept different ideas and opinions of other people, even if it's different to our own belief systems. So we don't have a closed mind. We tend to have a very open mind on the world around us. And ever since we were little, we always had great awareness of the world, of questioning things, of being intellectually curious to learn more about people, to really learn more about who a person is, not just on the surface, but we want to know a person, like what are their deepest traumas, what are things that they like. We have this fascination of learning more. So that's number 5, being open-minded. And being open-minded has great qualities because you tend to be able to blend in other types of environments as well. They put you in an environment with a lot of other people and you tend to be open-minded, so you tend to fit in other places as well because you have this willingness to learn, willingness to accept new ideas and new perspectives, the world around you. So you don't close yourself off. And you also have this drive to just do like very spontaneous and fun things and try new ideas and go out of your comfort zone to try new foods, to try a new go visit another place because you have an open mind. You're open to other possibilities, taking risk in your life. Number 6 is that empaths seek honest, deep, and meaningful relationships with others, and usually we feel on edge around fake people. We are spiritually extremely sensitive. We're highly intuitive. We consistently show up for our friends in times of need. We have really big hearts and we're very generous. Empaths are very highly intuitive and emotionally intelligent. We have a drive to to solve problems. And it's because we really understand other people's emotions and their perspectives on a conflict and an issue. We also find small talk very boring. We find it to be very shallow and uninteresting. We get bored. Empaths like to be free. Highly sensitive people like to just go out and do a lot more in their lives than just sit around and just have small talks. And there's nothing wrong with other people who enjoy small talks, but this is just for highly sensitive people who are more have an inner richness, an inner life in their soul, which means that we crave a lot more out of this life than just what we've been presented with. Number 7 is we're blessed to be peacemakers. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Matthew 5:9. So we tend to be peacemakers. We don't like hostile, toxic, negative environments, and just people who like to argue and cause problems and just constantly just I don't know, arguments. Like we don't do good with when we're around negative people who just like to cause trouble and cause problems in our lives and be around certain people, like problematic people who just like to argue back and forth and bicker. We tend to be a very overwhelmed and we want to just be a peacemaker in those situations. So most likely, we were peacemakers in our own families growing up. We have a high level of empathy, which makes us emotionally unstable in hostile environments. We do not do well in abusive, negative environments. It can emotionally affect us, and when an empath sees another person being misunderstood or suffering at the hands of someone else, it makes them deeply uncomfortable and they want to fix it. So, taking over and speaking up. So I remember from experience when I lived with the narcissist and my other sibling, whenever the narcissist was unjustly attacking my sibling, I would get in and intervene. And I would always speak up and stand up for my other sibling who was getting treated unfairly. I would say, hey, that's not right. Um, we don't like to see other people being treated unfairly. We don't like when other people are being misunderstood or judged. So we tend to speak up when the time is right for us to speak up. We will speak up and defend other people who are in a vulnerable state. So that's the thing about us empaths is that we're peacemakers. We don't like problematic people. And we also don't like other people being treated unfairly because we know that that person didn't deserve it. And so we're always going to stand up for other people. And we will stand up for other people. Number 8, empaths are great listeners. We're very great listeners. We tend to listen instead of talking. We don't talk too much. There's a lot of introverted empaths as well, which we observe people and we listen onto what they're saying. We listen to their type of conversations that they have. We just observe a lot and we listen to other people's problems as well. So we seek to understand. We seek to ask questions about people. Why did you do this, and what made you do that, and explain more. We also try, as well as being great listeners, we try not to hurt other people's emotions. So we're very cautious. We think before we speak. We take the time to actually um, see, will this affect someone else? Will my behavior, if I end up doing this, how will this person feel? And we don't like to let people down as empaths and highly sensitive people. So we try not to hurt and offend other people and insult them or judge them harshly. Number 9 is that empaths can be overwhelmed by media, the news, television shows, violent movies, shows about troubling events in the world can bring a devastating amount of stress, anger, or sadness because we can feel the pain on either side of an issue. So many highly sensitive people and empaths, we don't do well when we're when the TV's on and like we see the news and we see all these devastating horrific things happening in the world around us. It really messes us up emotionally because we tend to just overthink, wow, this is crazy what goes on in the world, and we end up being fearful and it could just mess us up really bad emotionally. So we tend to refrain a lot from social media, from television shows, because even social media can be a negative outlet where people post a lot of sad things that happen in this world. And people focus a lot on the negativity. And so empaths need to refrain away from it because that really does overstimulate their emotions. Also, with violent movies, many of us sensitive people, we don't like watching violent movies. We don't like watching violence and gory and blood and all this stuff because we feel it. It's like we're in the movie and we're feeling exactly what that person is going through because of our empathy that we have. So scary movies terrify us on a much deeper level than most. And other people in thrillers are bad because it really heightens us emotionally. So we feel the stories and the experiences of those in the movie and of TV as our own experiences. So even when you're watching something really sad in a movie and something happens to the main character, you tend to feel that same experience and you cry or you have an emotional reaction to what you're watching. So even sometimes when you're watching like a really sad movie, like a movie based on a real life event experience, you tend to have an emotional reaction to it. And so when that happens, that's how you know that you're really sensitive because you're mirroring back the emotions of other people. Same thing happens in real life when someone cries and when someone has an emotional emotion strongly, you tend to also mirror it back. So even you start to cry and you don't understand why, but it's the empathy that you have, the ability to put yourself in the shoes and see how is that person feeling, or I feel bad for that person. You actually do feel that empathy for the other person that's going through something. Number 10 is people feel naturally inclined to open up to you. They tell you their personal stories in their lives. They seek you for advice with their personal problems. So we transmit a, a natural healing aura. Empaths hold a safe space, emotional space for others. So several times where I would just go places and just random people would approach me and they would just open up their personal life experiences, things that they have gone through, their testimonies, really personal information, relationship advice. I had a friend that I reunited a while back ago. She had problems with her relationship and she would seek me for advice. So we have this level of empathy and gentleness and caringness towards people, that they feel safe enough to even open up and be vulnerable around us. And not many people can be vulnerable around certain people because other people will just shut down their emotions. But as highly sensitive people, we're open to receiving other people's emotions and we're open to helping them. The number 11 is alone time. Hypersensitive people and empaths, we need our alone time. We need to sometimes just get away from every single person because people can be too much for us. They can be too negative, too critical, too judgmental, too too just problematic. Like they bring a lot of their problems onto us. And sometimes we just need to get away from everybody and get away from every single person that's just has a lot of issues in their life, like personal issues. So we love our alone time and we don't like to be bothered when we're going through our alone time. So highly sensitive people, we have a reactive nervous system, meaning that our outer world can overwhelm us easily. So empaths need regular alone time and many breaks throughout the day to refocus and to recharge. Empaths need alone time to get back their energy and their own inner power. So if you're picking up unwanted energy, be sure to take some alone time to center yourself back, to balance your emotional state. Empaths also need to re-energize in a space that is all on their own. Empaths are super responsive. They can find being around people for too long. It can be draining. It can be emotionally draining being around people for too long. So sometimes when we have a friend that is not respectful of our boundary of our time and wants to continuously spend a lot of time with them, we tend to start getting just overly whelmed and overly stimulated, where we need to just get away from people because it's too much for us, depending on what type of energy we're absorbing from that other person. So the disadvantages of being an empath is that we soak up other people's emotions. We feel other people's pain as well. They're suffering from chronic fatigue syndrome, feeling constantly tired and exhausted. We're more conscious of other people's emotions, and that can lead to our own suffering. But the advantages of being an empath is that, can I get this video to more likes, please? Advantages. So the advantages of this is that we are our own spiritual healer and we are our own spiritual guides. So we empaths also have high empathy. We have huge hearts and the instinct to help others in need or others who are less unfortunate. We're also dreamers and idealists. We tend to want to see the good in this world, and we tend to want more for this world and expect a lot more out of people because we see their potential, we see the light within them. So we're dreamers. We dream of the possibility of making this world a better place and of helping this world be a better place as well. We're healers, nurturers, and highly sensitive and natural born givers. So some things that I want to end this video with is by saying that self-love is not selfish. Prioritizing yourself before other people is necessary as a highly sensitive person and as an empath. We can't rescue every single person that comes into our lives because some of them are just way too toxic for us to even help them in their life. They're constantly always going to have problems after problems after problems. And so self-love is not selfish. Prioritizing your well-being, your emotional well-being as well, your physical well-being, and your mental well-being. And how much are you feeding your mind with toxicity and poison that other people are trying to project onto you? So we need to learn how to just prioritize self-love and put ourselves first before other people's needs and wants and whatever they feel entitled to. We need to put ourselves first and really think, are we really in a good mental space to help this person? Are we doing okay? And do we have enough energy to even be willing to help this other person that is demanding too much for us? Sometimes people will demand too much and we don't have the emotional capacity to even help them. So we really need to prioritize that self-love and always remember that our emotional needs matter. Our emotional needs matter just as much as other people's emotional needs. And people are always protecting themselves. People are always doing what's best for them and what best interests them. People are always thinking about, well, what can I get? What can I do to feel better about myself? So they're using empaths and highly sensitive people to get their own emotional needs met. So we need to prioritize our own emotional needs. And they need to also take responsibility to learn how to take care of themselves because if they're full on adults and they're grown up and they're already mature enough, they can take care of their emotional needs. We don't need to take care of other people's emotions. And that's another thing. Sometimes we're going to offend people when we set boundaries, but it's not about them. It's about us and prioritizing and self-preservation and taking care of our mental health and well-being. And always remember that your emotional needs matter every bit as much as everyone else's. Other people are always doing what's comfortable for them to do. Some people don't even like to go out of their comfort zone to help someone else. And so we need to really pay mind that everyone else is doing what's best for them. So us empaths, highly sensitive people, we need to also be doing what's best for us because everyone else is doing that exact same thing. They're not gonna put themselves last just for you. They're gonna first make sure that they're good in order to help you. Or sometimes some people are so selfish, they're so egotistical that they just think that you have to be there for them and they don't even have to do anything for you. So they're only worried about themselves. They're only worried about what they can take from you. So no, put yourself first because everyone else is gonna do that. And when the worst thing about these manipulators and narcissists is that they're worried about themselves when they come around you. They only have a hidden agenda to benefit themselves, not to benefit you in any way. Just, oh, wow, this person is so kind. Let me just go around them and let me see what I can take from them and take advantage of this person. But they're not thinking, how am I going to give back to that person as well? How am I going to show them that I care about that person? Because they don't really care. They just care about themselves, and that's it. So make sure that you are prioritizing your emotional state, and make sure that you're actually comfortable doing something for someone. If you feel uncomfortable, if you feel that this person is capable of doing something, if you feel that they're just trying to make you feel bad for them, those are the worst type of people that empaths and highly sensitive people can come across. Is the people that want to act like they're helpless, like they can't do it alone. And they use that certain voice as well. They use that voice like, I'm going through so much, and oh, life has been so hard for me, and I need so much help. These type of people are extremely manipulative, very manipulative, and they use that certain tone of voice to play on your emotions. So, as empaths, we tend to be more emotionally sensitive because that's part of our personality. That's part of who we are as a person. And no one can actually make us any less sensitive because that's just how we were born. Whether those things are positive or negative, it will still affect us. This includes our own emotions and the emotions of others and sensory stimuli in the world around us. And always remember that you don't need to change for anyone. If they cannot accept you and they want you to dim yourself or be less of who you are, then they're not your people. They're not for you. Anyone who tells you that you're too much, that you have to be less of yourself, um, they're not for you. They don't have the emotional capacity. Or especially those people that tell you that you ask for too much. You demand too much. You have high standards. On all honesty, they don't even have any standards themselves. And you offer a lot. You offer a lot of emotional support. So you're not asking for too much if that's what you bring into the table. If you bring a lot of empathy into a person's life, and that's a positive trait, that's a positive quality to have for yourself, then there's no problem with you asking for more than what you truly give onto other people. You give a lot, which means that you also deserve to receive a lot. And it's not the fact that you're being selfish and you're just saying, oh, you should never expect anything in return. No, if you give a lot, you should also have people who are actually pouring back into you, not just draining your energy. It's like a bank account. You have money in your bank account, and you're inviting all these toxic energy vampires, narcissistic people who are just depositing money out all the time in your money, but they're never putting back money into your account. So they're gonna leave you on negative. So those are the types of gaslighting manipulative people that will tell you that you're asking for too much, or you have so high standards, you should lower your standards, or no one can live up to your expectations. Um, they're just not for you, and they're making it very clear that they can't meet your emotional needs at all. And trust me, there's people out there who have the same amount of empathy that you have. You'll find another empath in your life. Another another fun fact about empaths and highly sensitive person is that we have a diverse music appreciation. We're deeply in tune to the lyrics, the beats, the vibrations of music. So when it's a high vibrating song, we honestly feel it like a soul connection we have with music. And that music just makes us feel really good whenever we're listening to very upbeat, high vibrational music frequencies. Um, we appreciate music on a very deeper level. So we're listening to one of our favorite songs, a happy song that really brings out the best in us. That music can even bring out the best out of us in that moment when we're just appreciating that music and the sound and everything. We feel it like very intensely. Um, so that's a very positive thing. And other people will say, "Oh, wow, you're really into this music," but it's because you're so sensitive that you feel that music on a much deeper level, and the lyrics are just hitting you. So, um, so music elicits empathy, and this effect could even be stronger in empaths. Auditory mirror neurons that lead to the impact music has on people, but highly empathetic people showed an increase in activity in the dorsal striatum when a familiar song was played. This is a part of the brain's reward system, suggesting that listening to recognizable music is more pleasurable for those who have more empathy. So dark music can also deeply affect empaths. Like negative music, like very low vibrational music, like heavy metal or certain music that's like very negative, like dark energy, that can affect an empath's emotional state as well. It can get us all like negative. It can make us feel really bad about ourselves when we're listening to just negative music. Um, and with a very low vibrational beat to it. That lowers our vibrational frequency as well. So we have to be very careful with what kind of music we're listening to, if that music is actually raising our vibration or if certain music is just lowering our vibration. Because even sad songs, even singers who are singing like really depressing lyrics, what they're doing is they're projecting their emotions in their music. And then when we listen to that music, we're processing that artist, that singer's emotions as our own emotions when we're listening to that certain song. So let's say that an artist is singing about heartbreak and betrayal and just sadness. And then we start listening to the lyrics. Then we start feeling how that artist or that singer is emotionally feeling in that song. And that brings us down and that makes us sad and it lowers our energy. Um, so those are certain things about empaths. It's not quite right, I feel. Dancing gets you right. And one thing that we have to note is that empaths are not here to take on the problems of the world. We're not here to fix people. Empaths and highly sensitive people we're not responsible to change people, to to fix people. Because that's what people think that empaths are for, to take on everyone's problems and to carry all their pain. No, we're not responsible for carrying everyone's pain. That's their own emotions that they have to work on themselves. We can only guide them. We can only give them so much advice and guidance and just lead by example. But to actually get into their problems and try to rescue them from their own bad mistakes, that's a dishonor to ourselves, because then we're going to be negatively affected by them because they're not going to want to change. So it's very important that we make sure that we're not bringing in too much of the wrong people into our lives, because they will end up playing manipulative games with us because they know that we have a big heart. They see that they recognize our empathy, and so sometimes they're going to want to try to use it against us, use it for their own advantage. And that's when we have to cut those people out permanently. Because they see it as a game. Oh, this person has a big heart. I'm going to try to play with them and feel good about myself because I'm taking advantage of them. And then that's when we get really hurt. That's not fair for us, you know? We're putting ourselves through so much pain that it's unnecessary. We don't need to put ourselves through that pain that other people want us to feel. That's their pain. And that's why, oh my God, sorry. That's why it's really important that we take care of our energy. Because honestly, people say a lot, oh, well, the light will overpower the dark. But when you're in the dark for a long time, and you're just constantly staying there, you're gonna eventually take on their darkness and put it onto you. So that's why it's important that we take care of our energy, protect our energy. Because other people just want to come around to take our energy away from us. Or get an emotional reaction out of us as well. So as empathy, they'll tell us certain mean things to see how we'll react to them. So it's important as empaths to practice detachment. Practice not getting too attached to toxic people, to wrong people, to people who don't really care about us, to people who don't even love us at all. Because there will be certain people who don't even care or love us at all. Like, they're just there to see what they can take. But then once they get what they want, they just leave and then they're gone. And so we have to be careful not to idealize them, not to put people on a pedestal for a minimum, for doing the bare minimum that they showed us. And then we're out here doing all this so much stuff for them, and they're only giving us this much, the bare minimum, not even the bare minimum. And they disrespect us. That's very disrespectful, and that's a lack of self-respect and self-love for ourselves. So it's important that we don't get attached, emotionally involved as empaths, as highly sensitive people. Because then you'll notice that they just get over it very quickly, but then you're taking a lot more time to recover from the heartbreak. Because you projected your love, you projected your empathy, you projected your compassion onto people, and they didn't even do anything. They're not even the person that you think they are, because you're projecting all that goodness onto you. And your love is blinding you. Your own love is blinding you to see them for who they really are. And so then you start thinking, oh, that person is so loving, that person is so affectionate, they're so amazing. And you're only talking about yourself. That's who you are. And then once their mask just falls, you're like, wow, they're actually ordinary. They actually don't even bring anything to the table. And you start to see, like, I wasted time on this person, and I thought that they were such a good person. And it was my own love that deceived me into thinking that they are a good person. So we have to really take a step back every time a new person comes into our lives and give them the time for them to reveal who they really are to you. Because every time you meet someone new, of course they're going to appear as an angel of light. Because people who haven't done the healing, they're hiding parts of themselves. They're ashamed of certain parts of themselves. And so they'll come to you mirroring all your empathy. They'll mirror it back to you. They'll mirror all your good qualities back onto you. And then you're thinking, wow, I've never met someone so loving and so amazing in my life. And then as time passes by, you start seeing that they have all this they're trying to play you, manipulate you, and use you. So it's very necessary that we give people time, enough time for them to show us who they are. It's funny how they act fake nice and then slowly they start to hate you. It's crazy. Yes, most time it has nothing to do with you. If you didn't do anything to them, it mostly has to do because they're envious or jealous of you. A lot of people, believe it or not, are very jealous of empaths because they don't have the ability to feel their emotions. And so when you feel all your emotions, when you cry and everything, they get envious because they can't feel that. They can't feel that. They suppressed it. They're fearful of feeling their emotions. So they end up disliking you. So but God has revealed each and every single person who was fake to you. All your enemies, God reveals them to you very quickly. How can I get rid of people messing with my energy? Detach yourself, remove yourself. Don't give in to them. Whenever they ask something for you, tell them no, I can't. Set boundaries. I'll make a video soon on boundaries and how to set them. But yeah, but empaths, we need to not allow people to control our emotions. Don't allow your emotions to get in the way of seeing people for who they are. So we need to be patient now. Love is blind. Yes, love is very blind at times. And it hurts more because we place our high expectations on people. And we expect them to be something that they're not even capable of being. And I think that sometimes it could be bad because they're like, well, I expected you to also do the same for me and love me because I love you so much. And it's not possible at times. So we need to be very careful who we're investing in. People are investments. It's like a switch. It goes off in their brain and they just randomly get jealous and hostile. And that's the thing about jealous and envious people is that they want to be your friend. They want to get close to you. So they can see what you have going on in your life. So they can see what they can mimic and take away and imitate in your life. So they can also do the same thing in their life. Because they see that, oh, this person is positive. I wonder if I can try to replicate their personality and replicate who they are. But it'll never work. It's like the Slim Shady song. I'm the real Slim Shady, is all the other Slim Shadys are just imitating. That's how it is. That's how they get close to you. So yeah, for this video it was about empathy. Being a highly empathetic person. You know, sometimes even when you're highly empathetic, you even end up feeling bad for your own abuser. And that can be very dangerous when you start feeling bad for your own abuser. You're like, oh, maybe they're just going through stuff. Nope. So when we feel emotions on a much deeper level, it's the fact that someone being negative and nasty to us, we take on that negative emotion and we give it back to them. and they can't handle it as empaths. But I believe the best thing we can do as empaths is no response. Just stonewall them. Just ignore negative people. Because that's what they want. They want your attention. They want your attention, and they don't care if they get positive or negative attention as long as it's energy from you.